What's up YouTube? I'm outside of what looks like a regular home right now, but would you believe this is actually a modular home? When most people think of modular homes, they think of what Elon Musk is living in, like one of those boxable type homes, or they think of like a sea-can home, but this is actually a royal built home. And we want to make sure that you know everything about this because there's a lot of pros to having a modular home. So let's go meet the local rep here and give you all the information that you need to have a solid decision here in the future when it comes to your principal residence. Let's go check it out.
How's it going, guys?
Excellent. It's been a while, man.
Yeah, come on in.
So a little bit of background there, viewers. Adam Dumont is actually one of my agents who sold me one of my first principal residences here when I was first getting going in real estate. And then about a year ago, I saw them building this really cool development on a main street in Sarnia, Ontario, and I got a tour of it about a year ago. And me and Adam have been trying to connect here so we could show you, the audience, more about a really cool building product here. These are Royal Homes. Adam is the local designer rep for Royal Homes here. And we want to show you all about this house here. So let's go inside and check it out. So give us a full tour here, Adam.
Okay, so again, this home is built in a factory, if you can believe it. So jigs, all the cuts are square and true. The magic of this house is none of it saw any weather until it was ready to.
That is huge, because like coming from a new home building
Right.
construction, even like your I believe your in-laws and stuff like that, like we're building things outside in Ontario, Canada, and things get rained on, things get wet. Even the wood when you get it from the factory isn't totally dry anyways. You know, so for this to be built in climate control is actually huge. And I'm a big quality guy, so I can really appreciate that.
Yeah, so you know, being in Canada, we got 4 seasons, obviously, right? We got to battle those every single time we build. Rather with here, our crew is inside, shorts and t-shirt all year round. Their tools aren't being stolen on site. There's a bunch of really small things that add up to the fact that this is probably a better way to build, right? Things are truer, the light's great, great inside the factory. There's no rain, there's no cold to deal with, there's no delays because of the weather either. So we usually will build your house in the factory and deliver it on time every single time.
Awesome.
Pretty cool.
You know, for example, like this property here, how many square feet, and then like how many modular pieces would this have been?
Yeah, so this is 1,200 square feet. I modified this off of one of our standard drawings, so we can get to that a little bit later. The nice thing is this is 2 modules. We're currently in one. This whole side here is 1 module.
Wow. Because how wide is this?
This is about 16 feet wide.
Okay.
And then there's a whole nother side over here. And the magic is this wall right here. So this wall is about 9 to 11 inches thick. This is what we call our marriage wall. So if I strip this away, behind here you'd see 2 sets of 2x4s.
Yeah.
And then you'd see a 1-inch air gap. Now 1-inch air gap is very important. So we pick the module up off the truck and then we place it here on the foundation with absolutely massive, expensive straps. So because we don't want to drop it, right guys? So then we go back for the second one and put the second one in its place, and then that 1-inch air gap allows those straps to come through and releases the house on your full foundation. So that's the other thing too. Like we're building
it's not for shifting and moving or anything in the future, because once you guys have it set, is it pretty set?
Oh yeah, everything's tacked in, nailed in. There's no movement at all whatsoever. It's just moving it from transport truck to its final destination here. So after the marriage wall, everything gets seamed up. So your house is essentially built in a day, 85% of it. Then like flooring's done, kitchen's installed, windows are installed. Some of the shingles might be on, a siding would be on. The things that we do on site after we set the home are things like brick, stone, maybe some shingles, front porches, decks, and then seaming. And seaming is important. So you can see here we got the luxury vinyl flooring going on this half, and then you can see there's no thresholds here through to the second module here. So that's seaming stuff and the trim and drywall. There's about 15 to 20% of the work needs to be done on site after we set the home.
So electrical's done ahead of time, plumbing's done ahead of time. I guess we'll see in the basement eventually how that all gets tied together. So make sure you're tuning in right to the very end of the video so you can see the most favorite part from any kind of real estate investor or real estate person is the basement, where all the bones and the mechanicals are. Stay tuned to the end. But so all that stuff is done.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay, let's give you a quick rundown here. So we got 9-foot ceilings here, which is a little bit of an upgrade. I put in a couple of decorative beams, put in pot lights. I extended the cabinetry up 12 inches because we went a little higher with the ceiling. Custom range hood there. So there's a bunch of things in this house that are custom. So that's a really, really big factor when we build, is it's not like just cookie cutter, pick one of our standard builds. You can do that if you want.
Super boring.
But you can also modify it, right?
There you go.
Anyway, come on through here. We got a master bedroom. Yeah, so there's some interior colors that you can pick. So again, like we give people the tour, and then as we go through the tour, we're showing people kind of how we work. So standard color on the walls here, standard trim, standard doors, standard floor. Everything in here is standard. except the ceiling height obviously going to 9 feet.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like entry level though. Like this seems like
No.
your standard is kind of like mid to mid high for some builders, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we want our finished
When I was
product
building
to
my
look
house, it was kind of like, oh, you can have this level, or you
Right.
can actually come up to normal. Anything coming up to normal is expensive, so
Right,
it's
yeah.
good that you guys have a good base
Yeah,
package
and then
for all your trim.
different style of windows too. We got double hungs, casement, awnings, fixed windows, patio doors. Again, you can design this however you want. I just wanted to show off a double hung, so I threw one in.
Yeah.
Come on in, I'll show you the bathroom here.
Wow, it's a good sized bathroom. I'm sure it's just like the layout or the.
Yeah, so I modified
style.
this again. So if you can imagine, this would have been a very small bathroom to begin with, but
Yeah.
with the modifications and to tour people through the home, I wanted to give it some more space so that, again, we're gonna have 3 or 4 people in here. But everything in here is standard. The only upgrade is this little pot light in the shower.
There you
But
go.
lights, countertop, cabinets, trim, doors. I even threw in here, if you can see,
Okay, and sweet laundry. Cool.
a nice little laundry closet, right? So if someone wanted to
That's why we need
main
some
floor
room here.
laundry, it's great to set that up for them. Let's take you to the basement. So this is our basement.
Wow,
Standard
this
height
is-
here, 7
This
foot
is
6
this has got to
inches.
be like the cleanest basement I've ever seen on any.
Well, it
kind
is
of
a
job
show
site.
home, Corey. We got to
Yes,
show it
true.
off, right?
But
So-
even new construction, I mean, they're typically not as clean or anything like that. And again, climate control, you're not seeing mud, you're not seeing all kinds of stuff just splattered all over the beams and the joists and all that sort of thing. So
Yeah,
it's nice because you never know what you're getting. Like when we moved in our property, all of a sudden there was like spiders everywhere and all sorts of things just from it being open for so long.
Yeah, that's a big one people don't really ever think about is bugs, mold, and then people traipsing through the house.
Yeah.
Right. We don't get that here either. Right. So construction crews coming in
Very
through the
fast.
weather, bringing in their mud and stuff like that. We don't get that here. So, but this is where we'll take a basement to, pretty much as a standard finish. So if you look at our walls here, we are right now 16-inch centers. But if you, that's a slight upgrade for a basement like this is maybe $1,200 to go to 16-inch centers. We usually go 24-inch centers.
Okay.
But if you're thinking about finishing your basement in the future, you want to go 16-inch centers.
For sure.
I decided to put a great entrance here. Another upgrade. Let's call it $8,500 right now at current pricing.
Well, you're pouring your basement anyways, so I
Yeah,
mean,
might as well. This is, could be a duplex for someone in the future, right? So give them the option, granny suite, something like that. Egress window is very popular if you're thinking about putting someone in the basement like a teenager or mom or dad or whatever, if you want to rent it out.
have it.
You got to have it.
Drop a comment below if you're a real estate investor and you would like to make this a granny suite downstairs. How cool would it be to basically have this future-proofed and all you need is to have your great entrance here? Give me a thumbs up, give me a comment down below.
And then just to jump off that point, I put in this beam here just to give you as much room to do a layout however you want, whether it's just going to be open bachelor, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom. Again, we just try to leave it open as possible.
Now, do you guys have beams in pretty much most of your houses just because like you're
Yep.
plopping down the two
Yeah,
different
anytime.
pieces,
So
right?
that marriage wall we talked about upstairs needs to be supported obviously in the basement. So we put in one of these beams on this one. It's an option. You can go with one of these beams. If you decide to go with what our standard is, this will be our standard similar to this. You're gonna get a vertical post every 5 feet. So again, from a layout perspective, this now becomes an interior wall.
Yes.
You do have 5 feet maybe of like hallway
Yeah,
entrance or something
walkway,
like that,
but
but
no, you really should go with the beam.
if you want it open, you got to go with the beam. Right now, pricing on this about $6,700, $6,800, somewhere in that ballpark. The other thing I did here too was I thought in the future there could be a bathroom, so we roughed in a 3-piece bathroom here as well. Let's call it $4,500, somewhere in that ballpark right now. And then you got your mechanical and guts on this side as well. So we like to use 200 amp panel just because we don't know what you're going to do in the future, hot tub or
sure.
who knows, right? You got to have the extra power.
So with the HVAC, you guys would have a lot of the venting already in the walls, and I guess when it comes
Yep.
here, you're just tying it in, you're getting your main central unit in, and then
Yep, so pretty much anything you see that's, in the joists right now is pretty much done factory.
Wow.
All the wiring, all the plumbing should be roughed in prior to. And then they pull it all down and then they connect it to our site guys here. So we'll probably use a local guy for our heating, cooling, HVAC, another local guy for the plumbing, another local guy probably or maybe our own guy to come in and just connect everything to the panel box. So this is obviously, again, stuff that can't be done until the home is set on the foundation,
Yes.
just to make sure it's all weatherproofed. So once we top plate the basement, throw the modules on, these guys can start getting to work right away.
Yes.
Yeah.
So obviously the basement had to be done first, everybody. So you got to make sure you have your permits. You've got your surveys, everything done. We're going to talk more about those details upstairs, along with financing, which is very interesting here too. But the basement's got to be done first before any of these people can kind of come and do their thing. But once they do, it's a fairly quick process.
Yeah, so you can imagine, like, one of our best clients, the people that choose us, is someone that has to tear down a house. So, you know, older couples got a century-old home on a farm. They want to stay in that same location. So when they tear down that house, the same person who's probably tearing down the house can excavate the ground on day 2 or 3 whenever they, you know, and then we're pouring footings all the while your home is being built in the factory.
Yes.
So it's an orchestra of everything happening all at once. So the time that you need to vacate your home to then move into your new royal home is a lot shorter.
Yes.
Had it not been, you know, if we didn't build it in the factory, we had to stick frame it, it would take a lot longer, maybe twice as long. So
there you go.
Anyone who's tearing down a house usually loves the idea of, like, you know, we really only need to stay with friends or family for a little bit, be displaced for a little bit.
Or live in the RV for a month or 2 or 3,
yeah,
right?
Summer vacations, that kind of thing. So.
Cool. So Adam mentioned that there's a design component of this. This is why he's the design rep for the area. So he's become a mini expert at CAD and, you know, the programs that they use for this sort of stuff here. So take us through this dollhouse view here, Adam, and what can you do and show a client here?
Yep, so this is a great example. I've had a client come in and they really like a certain plan, but then they wanted to change it and it's now turned into what you see here. So we can take a drawing from blueprint structure to a little bit more of a 3D version, so the client can kind of get some spacing. We throw some furniture in there to give them a sense of spacing.
Super important. I mean, it's like, you know, they're trying to figure out, what does a queen size bed look like? What does a king size bed look like?
Exactly, right? Sometimes it's just, you know, the flow of where people are going to walk. Again, you wave your magic wand, we'll draw whatever you want, but, you know, we do have some expertise behind it, showing, you know, some suggestions here and changes that you could make to help things move along.
Yeah, you drop
this
patios
particular
and driveways
client,
and walkways and everything. So
yeah, so most of our clients are
that's
going to come back
fantastic.
2 or 3 times, or whether I go to see them, right? Because it's a little bit of a process. But again, the selling feature for us is we do this free, right? I don't take a check from you guys until you're happy with the drawing. So there's clients I've spent 15 hours with probably at this point.
Wow.
And we don't have a contract, right? So you can be rest assured to know that when you're working with us, we're going to draw what you want. It's going to look the way you want, and you can view it in multiple different facets, because it's very difficult building a house off of blueprints, right? It's not for everybody. It's a little stressful, right? So we try to make it as pleasing as possible with this system. And this is Chief Architect. This is a great program.
Very cool. This has been super cool, but how about we transition to a little bit more of like, who's your ideal client? How do they typically finance these things? Yeah, so let's dive into that here too. All right, gang, so here's some of the most important questions that I want to ask Adam. Like, tell me about timeframes. Is this actually quicker than building a regular house? Will you save money that way? You know, who is your ideal client and what does that look like and what are the advantages of it? And then how do we actually finance these types of things? So Adam, you were mentioning just like how fast this is. Once the next row home is in queue in the factory, it's done extremely fast because you guys aren't waiting for one contractor and the next contractor and the next contractor.
Yeah,
So
it's an
matter of
orchestra,
weeks.
right? And so a lot of things are happening all at once. Flooring is being done at the same time. They're doing trusses right next door to it. So again, we could probably finish the modules within 2 weeks. And that, like, you know, 2 or 3 weeks. Flooring's done, trim, paint, kitchen's in, toilets are in, everything's in as much as possible. Modules are done.
You guys have like all this, like, I guess in stock, right? So you're not like outsourcing wood and all that sort of stuff. It's just like, no, we'll go back to the yard and we'll just grab what we need and we're just building.
Yeah, exactly. So most of our stuff is ordered. There's a certain time when we know that, okay, this person's ready to go. Everything is ordered. So we have the luxury of waiting until the client has that permit before we need to, you know, go through and order something crazy. But as far as like lumber, shingles, siding, usually there's a lot of stuff we have on site already. Speed is critical. So yeah, we could have it done within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and they're in the queue and ready to roll. And
once the basement is done, they drop it down. You know, the finishing and the marriaging, that usually takes another.
Contractually, we want 3 months, but realistically, on a home like this, maybe 40 days, right?
Okay.
So you got time for your HVAC guys to come in, your plumbing guys to come in, drywall touch up, some seaming in the flooring, some shingle work. I had a front porch that had to be built on site, so there's a few things like that, and every home is different. So to blanket it, we in the contract we're going to give you is 90 days is what we're going to want the home for, but usually we're in and out a little quicker than that. Yeah. As far as our ideal client, we're huge in the farming industry. Building on land is very difficult. Building on private land is pretty difficult legally and financially. So we
Because
kind
you were
of
saying like builders are hesitant. Most builders would be hesitant because you own the land, you make the rules, versus usually it's they own the land, they own the they
Yeah.
make the rules until they're ready to actually like do the transaction at the end.
There's some impasses through, let's say a stick frame builder on private land where it's a deposit structure where, the builder doesn't want to get hung up with 250 grand worth of material on someone's property, and then the homeowner tells you to take a hike because they didn't like what you did or something, right? So it's pretty common. So we take all of that out of the equation as well, because obviously we're building your house in a factory off-site. Deposit structure, we're pretty normal in that regard. We're going to want probably 20 grand or so when you sign a contract with us. And then we're going to want 10% of the build price 2 times.
Okay.
Once when we do your final prints, and another time when we when the foundation goes in. And then we want the remaining amount of money the day we show up with the modules. So that can lie a little tricky for some banks. So the big 5 banks don't typically like giving 100% of money for a project that isn't finished. So we do get some pushback from them quite a bit. But CIBC's come out and they're all for it. They love our business. And
You're saying you're literally on a phone call with some reps up in Ottawa, right? So you guys have good access, you guys have clean books, you guys have a lot of business to give a bank that wants to do business.
Right. So that's the way we've chosen to do the business, and CIBC sees that, and they've been a great partner so far to get our clients the mortgages that they need. Because sometimes it's we got to tear down a house. Sometimes we need to take money from another source of income or HELOC or something like that, and it can be a little complicated for just the normal client to run into a Scotiabank and say this is what they want to do. There's a few things that have to happen. So we like to try to set you up with the right people at the beginning so that there aren't hiccups down the road. Our ideal clients are farmers are huge. We'll do some commercial side of it too. Multi-family stuff. We've done some pretty amazing projects with some people in the past. So the projects can be in the tens of millions of dollars when it comes to like an apartment size or some sort of row of townhouses. So
these modules can be stacked up.
They can, There's some extra engineering that needs to go into everything like that, and fire rated and all that stuff.
Yes.
But yes, we can again wave that magic wand and we'll put the engineers to work and we'll make it happen. So it's just a really cool process. It really kind of really helps the people that we help, because they do run into situations where it's like a brick wall. The builder locally doesn't want to build on your property, or they want so much money in deposits that it's impossible.
Yeah.
So then they have to just satisfy themselves with being in that house the way it is, or they find us online somehow, and then we're running in, literally looking like we're superheroes. And when the guys come in with the crane, set everything up, those guys are, I swear, they deserve their own TV show. They are just rock stars, these guys. And they fly all over the province, putting houses up every single day.
Well, this has been a cool experience here, Adam. And
Awesome.
There's so many variables when it comes to building your home, like so many chances for things to go wrong, over budget, over time. It is so nice wouldn't it be nice to control those types of things way more? You have control over the design, you have control over the build and the quality. All you really have to do is pick your finishes. So, that alone is a task in itself. But drop a comment down below. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. And we'd love to know your feedback here. Is this something that you've never heard of before? Is this something you've heard of before? Have you been in a royal home before? Love to hear from you. Make sure you're following Adam here. We'll drop his information in the comments here too. Okay, gang? So until the next one, be great and keep buying real estate and be open to other ideas of what's working here in the world.